Why are you such a useless wife? I must have been stupid to allow you two to get married, but if I could, I'd undo everything. Seriously, you can't do anything right, lol. This is just everyday life. Every time I see my mother-in-law, she bullies me relentlessly. This is the story of how my happy life with my husband was ruined by my mother-in-law's bullying. No, that's not it. It's the tragic tale of a certain parent and child whose lives were ruined by bullying. My name is Kate. I've been married to Noah for almost 5 years now. Our marriage was going smoothly. I met Noah through work, dated for 2 years, then got engaged and married. 2 years into our marriage, we even built our own home and our lives together were blissful. Then till my mother-in-law got involved. I never got along with her from the start. Even since the first time I met her, she seemed to view me as an enemy, which was scary. At first, my father-in-law was also there, so we managed to keep the conversation going. Shortly after we got married, my father-in-law had an accident at work and passed away. Since then, my mother-in-law started interfering with us persistently. Whenever we visited, if I tried to help my mother-in-law, she'd say, "Why are you so clumsy? I've told you this before, right? You have a bad memory, you useless wife. You're really useless, just sit quietly." I'd be told such things without reservation. While my husband, Noah, is usually kind and loving towards me, whenever we visit his parents, he doesn't back me up. Even though he must have heard my mother-in-law's sarcastic remarks towards me, he pretends not to, and at the end, he'd say, "Don't upset mom too much." Why do I have to be the one getting scolded? Despite thinking that, I hated the idea of upsetting my beloved husband the most, so I always remained silent and obedient to my mother-in-law. This marriage life continued for a few years, and with each passing day, my stress increased. I love my husband, but the relationship with my mother-in-law is too painful. Even though we've been spending happy days in the home we built together, my mother-in-law constantly disrupts it and ruins my mood. I've been avoiding visits to my in-laws' house by making excuses here and there, but now my mother-in-law has started visiting our home unannounced. It would have been better if my husband was home, but the worst part is when I'm alone. She comes over unexpectedly, rummages through the house, and if she sees something she likes, she takes it without asking. "Oh, this tea looks delicious. It's too good for you, so I'll take it. Isn't this snack from a famous place? I'll leave some for Noah and take the rest." She talks to herself and makes decisions without my consent, then criticizes me. "You have to clean this area more thoroughly. Look at the dust. Really, I can't bear to see Noah living in such a house." She berates me, saying, "This marriage was a mistake." But when my husband returns, her attitude changes completely. "Welcome back, Noah. You must be tired. Since the house wasn't clean, I've already taken care of it," she says, clinging to my husband. While criticizing the meals I cook as too flavorful or lacking presentation, she chats with my husband over dinner. By the time my mother-in-law leaves, it's past 9 p.m., and I'm exhausted. While my husband just takes a bath and goes to bed, I still have cleaning and laundry to do. Unable to do chores at my own pace with my mother-in-law around, tasks pile up despite my efforts. I finally spoke up to my husband. "Hey, can't something be done about your mom showing up unannounced? I can't do chores properly or endure her comments anymore." I know. But she doesn't mean any harm. It's just that she doesn't have a daughter, so she wants to spend more time together. Haga. My concerns are always brushed aside like this. Luckily, my mother-in-law doesn't have a key to our house. However, she rings the intercom persistently until I answer, claiming, "I know you're home. Get the door now. I checked with Noah, and I know it's your day off." She even confirms my days off with my husband and shows up uninvited. Once, I pretended to be out, but she complained to my husband. We ended up getting to a fight. So from then on, I reluctantly had to let her in. Days went by, and my stress began affecting my health. I lost my appetite, and my stomach pains worsened. I also noticed more hair fall when I combed my hair in the morning. Worried, I went to a doctor's clinic nearby and was diagnosed with stress. The doctor advised against overexertion. Tearfully, I confided in the kind female doctor, "I'm really struggling." She gently comforted me. "Do you have any idea what could be causing this?" asked the kind female doctor. At first, I found it hard to talk, but as I started to open up, I couldn't stop. Talking about my mill naturally brought tears to my eyes. I'm really struggling. The doctor gently patted my back. Please don't push yourself too hard. With that advice, I went home. Although my stomach pains eased with medication, my poor appetite persisted. I lost 3 kilograms in just a month. My husband noticed my deteriorating condition and asked if I was okay, but there was no point mentioning his mother causing me stress, so I brushed it off. One day, my mother-in-law contacted me to meet at a department store near the station. I didn't want to go, but I was told, it's going to be Noah's birthday soon, so I want you to help me choose a present. Reluctantly, I agreed to go. At the men's section, I tried to lead her to my husband's favorite brand, but she said, your opinion doesn't matter. I just didn't want to get the same present as you. Not like we would get the same thing considering your bad tastes. Haga. That's what I was told. It dawned on me. I genuinely thought she wanted my help to choose a present for my husband, but that was far from the truth. She just wanted to belittle me in public. I felt like crying, so I excused myself to the restroom, saying, I'll be right back. After I said that, I left. After a while, as I tried to return, I could hear my mother-in-law's voice. It's been a while. You become so beautiful. Her voice, unlike the usual tone she directs at me, sounded cheerful and lively. The person she was talking to seemed to be a woman about my age. Unlike me, who had never dyed my hair, she had bright brown hair with flashy makeup. She was also dressed in brand-name clothes, indicating her wealth even from a distance. I wonder who she is. As I pondered about that, my mother-in-law finished talking to the woman, so I returned to her side. Sorry to keep you waiting, I said. Geez, you're always so slow, despite it being just a few minutes. But there was no use in dwelling on it, so I said, sorry again, and ended up accompanying my mother-in-law with her shopping, even carrying her bags. For some reason, as soon as we returned home, my mother-in-law started arranging the store-bought side dishes I had bought on plates. Then, right on cue, my husband returned. Without missing a beat, she took the seat next to him, and dinner began with my mother-in-law present. Then my mother-in-law spoke to my husband. Noah, I happened to bump into Grace at the department store today. She's running her own company now, isn't she? She's become even more wonderful. Was the person my mother-in-law was talking about one of my husband's classmates? While I pondered this, my mother-in-law continued. She was dressed mostly in designer clothes, and she was wearing an expensive-looking ring. Oh my, what a waste, to break up with such a nice girl. It was then that I learned for the first time that this Grace was my husband's ex-girlfriend. It was thoughtless of my mother-in-law to discuss such matters in front of me, but I was well aware of her personality. What bothered me more was my husband's reaction. Yay, maybe it was a waste. That could be. That's what my husband said. I quickly glanced at him, but he immediately averted his gaze awkwardly when our eyes met. I suspected something was amiss and decided to investigate the next day. The first thing I noticed was the credit card statement in the trash can in my husband's room. My husband usually had no hobbies and didn't drink or smoke. He was frugal and diligently saved money, yet he had spent nearly $5,000 in a month. What is this? What is the meaning of this? Upon examining the shops listed on the statement, they were mostly women's clothing stores. Given his reaction yesterday, I suspected my husband might be cheating on me with his ex-girlfriend. Once I started thinking that way, I began to notice more and more things. Even my husband's suits, which I had always washed without a second thought, had traces of women's perfume on them upon closer inspection. And when I went to pick up my husband's socks, which he had left lying around, I found a long strand of brown hair on them. That's when I became certain. My husband was indeed cheating on me with that woman. And, sensing that I had found out about his infidelity somehow, one day my husband suddenly said to me, "Could we get a divorce?" I see. That's what I thought. The unease I had been feeling was indeed justified, and I truly felt it at that moment. Honestly, although there were suspicious signs, I never imagined that my husband would actually cheat on me, that I would be in a position to be cheated on. I thought to myself, things like this really do happen, as I replied, "Yeah, it's okay." He was surprised by my nonchalant agreement to divorce. Actually, I was surprised at myself too. I wondered how I was able to accept a divorce without any lingering attachment like this. I used to love my husband dearly, but I think I was more tired of the reality of my husband's infidelity and the relationship with my mother-in-law. From then on, we swiftly proceeded with the divorce proceedings, and I informed my husband that I knew about his affair. My husband said, "I'll pay compensation, so please don't make a big deal out of it." So, I agreed to that and made sure to receive the compensation. I hired a lawyer to claim compensation from my husband and his affair partner, but for some reason, it seemed like my husband paid for his affair partner's share as well. I returned to my parents' home immediately after the divorce, but soon learned that my ex-husband had remarried his ex-girlfriend, Grace. To be honest, I wasn't interested at all. I just thought he was free to do whatever he wants. 5 years passed. I had already been living a fulfilling new life. One day, as I was having tea alone at a cafe near my workplace, I heard a familiar voice from the table diagonally behind me. Yes, it was my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was sitting with the woman I had seen before, in other words, my ex-husband's new wife. The little boy with them called my mother-in-law Grandma, and I realized, oh, they've remarried and had a child. That's what I figured out from the brief interaction. For some reason, I didn't feel any shock at all, so I quietly left the shop without being noticed. A few weeks later, I received a letter addressed to me. The sender was my ex-husband. "I want to start over," was written in the letter. Huh. What's this? I thought, why now out of the blue? But the letter had more to say. It turned out that his new wife, who had remarried him and had a child, had lied about running her own company. She had been cheating on him while they were dating, and had relationships with other men whom she approached for loans out of her greed for money. Furthermore, my ex-husband suspects that she only approached him because she found out that his mother had a large life insurance policy under her name. The ex-girlfriend who remarried my ex-husband seemed to be heavily in debt, swindling money from various people under the pretext of loans. All the while, she was continuing her luxurious lifestyle with frequent visits to spas and nail salons and indulging in brand-name products. The letter was a plea for help, saying that the debt was only getting bigger and he couldn't take it anymore. To top it off, it seems my ex-husband got curious and had a DNA test done on the child she bore, only to find out that there was no biological relationship between him and the child. So, my ex-husband regretted divorcing me and sent me the letter this time. Upon learning this, my mother-in-law, who already had a heart condition, collapsed in shock, and now she's bedridden in the hospital. They were saying they really needed my help, but I have absolutely no intention of helping them. My ex-husband, who bullied me along with my mill, and betrayed me by cheating. I thought there was no obligation to help such people. Besides, it's his own fault for being deceived by a woman like that in the first place. I'm sure my mill was dazzled by her lavish lifestyle with brand name items, and she readily accepted my husband's infidelity after seeing her again. They're truly a pair of fools. I ignored the letter from my ex-husband. Then, a few months later, I received another letter informing me that my mill had passed away. Was her condition really that bad, I wondered, but what happened to my mill was undoubtedly my ex-husband's and her own fault. But what concerned me was the cause of my mill's death. It turns out she died of suffocation. I learned this from the police who visited my home. They probably came to me because there was suspicion of foul play, but I told them that I hadn't seen them since the divorce, and the police left without further questioning. From what I have heard, my ex-husband and his wife were in a terrible state. Since my mill collapsed, my ex-husband had demanded a divorce from her, but she refused to accept it at all. Despite living separately, they still haven't agreed to divorce. Then, a few days later, I heard a rumor that she had been arrested. I didn't think she would go to such lengths for my mill's insurance money, but that thought didn't last long. She was released on bail due to lack of evidence. However, the police still suspect foul play in my mill's death and are pursuing the real culprit. If she's not the culprit, then who is it? I stopped thinking about it. If I think about it any further, an incredibly terrifying result may be waiting. My ex-husband apparently used my mill's insurance money to pay off the debt they were both burdened with because of her. It seems he even paid off her debt, and then she immediately agreed to a divorce. Maybe my farts weren't wrong after all. No, let's stop there. I won't take him back, and I won't have anything to do with them anymore. That's the way it should be. I keep telling myself that and have been avoiding thinking about my ex-husband and them ever since. I deliberately keep myself busy every day, living a life where I don't have to worry about anything.